All right, let's start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Dash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Mysteries Are Not Revealed to Just One Man. I'm joined with the Elder Khanat.
Shalom.
And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a video I was watching earlier that the Elder Pastor Hart did. I'm not sure if he did it last night or earlier today. I believe it was last night. And pretty much he was speaking on the prophecies. He was speaking on, how Elder Abba Bivens, right? And that's Elder Abba Bivens has been being mentioned a lot lately, because that played a major role in the truth that we see today of the Hebrew Israelites. He was a main, person, main prophet that the Lord used to wake up the fathers and bring them back to the children. And pretty much the Elder Pastor mentioned something that made the wheels turn in my head. He said that, well, you guys, Elder Abba Bivens never spoke about the MOTB being the microseer, and pretty much the first thing that came to mind was that this truth, the mysteries of this truth is not revealed to just one man. And when you go back to the time of John the Baptist was only set up to get the nation of Israel prepared, to prepare the way for Yahushua to come. And after that, that's why, he didn't follow the ministry of Yahushua. He didn't do anything else outside of what he was supposed to do, dealing with, the baptism, of the people, the baptism of the Lord, and preparing the way for the Lord, to do his ministry. And the same way he did that back then, when he came back in this time, his job was not to really break down any super deep, dark mysteries. His job was pretty much to wake the fathers back up and get them, on the path to teaching the rest of the men that you see out here today to build up this truth. And after he fulfilled that, there's no coincidence that when he was on his deathbed, he called King Masha, High Priest Arya, and High Priest Yaquab to his bedside, because by that point the Spirit revealed to him that these were the men that were going to carry on the torch after he went back in the spirit world. So he knew, for instance, that the so-called Negroes, the Puerto Ricans, the Native American Indians were Israelites, but he didn't know what tribes they were from. That wasn't revealed to him, but he knew that they were Israelites. He just didn't know what tribes they belonged to. That was revealed to High Priest Arya. Just like, the MOTB being the micro-Sihib wasn't really revealed to the High Priest Arya, even though, Elder Patar did ask him, that, if it was going to be something physical. And he ended up saying yes, but they're not going to have time to do it, which is not accurate, because if something's written, the Lord's word don't go out void. But the point is, he knew that it was going to be something physical, but it wasn't time at that time for it to be revealed, because there was no technology back then that was really, prevalent like it is today, as far as what the MOTB is or could have been. Back then everything was still, it wasn't really no high-tech age back then. And that was just pretty much the beginning of, the technical era. There was not too much going on, but you did have computers, you did have, technology that was coming out, but it was still in its primary state. When you go back to the 1800s, you had something called the tabulating machine that was set up by this dude named Hollerith, and pretty much that's what started off the IBM, the International Business Machine. And that was set up a system to keep tabs on people, because it was called a tabulating system. And that's the word tabulating. When you get the word keeping tabs on somebody, that's where it came from, the tabulating system. So it was a progression, from the Industrial Revolution until really into the 2000s. Really, that's when really it started becoming more and more prevalent that the micro-Sihib was the MOTB. and that knowledge was increasing greater and greater. You know, you trying to get something?
Yeah, I'm looking. Hosea 12:10.
I get it for you. This is the book of Hosea. Let me find it first. The book of Hosea. Yeah, this app is a little. Here, Hosea 12:10.
And I was just, bringing that out because what you're saying, the mysteries weren't just given to one man.
Come.
This is why the Lord, he has multiple prophets.
There you go.
See what I'm saying? There was multiple prophets that were set up, and they all received a piece of the prophecy. Some more than others.
Yep.
But nevertheless, you can't disregard what one prophet did because he didn't have as much as the other prophet, and just that little that prophet had would be the piece to make everything else make sense.
There you go.
It was given in measure.
Yep.
Because
it's a body. It's a body. It's a church. So Hosea 12:10, it says, "I have also spoken by the prophets."
Right, by the prophets with an S.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord, he spoke by multiple different prophets that came on the scene in different parts of time. All right, even now you have certain men in this time, what I'm speaking about, that brought out certain revelations, that other men, like you were explaining, that they didn't receive back then. Like the high priest Ariah, he didn't really tap into the MOTB like that.
Right.
He knew of it, but now we know more about it now. It's been fully revealed now.
Right. Because the scriptures say that knowledge shall increase. And in the process of knowledge being increased, we see the technological era today that didn't exist back then. Or should I say it was still in its infancy stage, because it was around going back to the 50s and 60s, but it was still in its infancy stage. And that's why everything was so big. When you look at computers back then, it would take a whole room and some big, like the laptop that you have in your home today, they were big, huge computers at first. And it was impossible to carry something like that around. But as time went on, that technology became smaller and smaller, and it was able to send signals further and further out. The more satellites and the more the technology had advanced from that point on. But it says, Hosea 12:10, "I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets." So these similitudes are what? Signs, symbolisms. This is why when you read the book of Revelation, when you read the book of Daniel and other books and chapters, it uses symbology. It might use trees, it might use mountains, it might use, beasts. But these things represented something. Now there was times when those triple four. It was time when the chapter itself, where this allegory or symbolism was written, would explain what that particular part of the prophecy was, but it didn't break everything down. Mm-hmm. Because it would be a process of time before all of these things can come to pass. Because when the prophets had these visions, they really didn't understand what was going on. They thought that the prophecies that they received, that some of those prophecies were going to be revealed in their time, in the time of those particular empires that they were in. But it wasn't time for it back then.
Well, just like in Acts, when Yahushua came back,
beautiful.
They asked, well, at this time we restored the kingdom to Israel. Mm-hmm. Because they knew that it was spoken that the Son of the Most High will come back and restore Israel. So they actually thought it was supposed to be at that particular time.
Right.
But they didn't understand, and they became sorrowful when the Lord told them, like, it ain't gonna be right now. They didn't understand that the Lord was gonna come back another time to finish the job.
Right.
And that there had to be certain things, that the MOTB, a new thing. I have Isaiah 42. I think it's 40. I actually
42 and 9.
That one I got 42 and 9. Yeah, 42.
Then you have also 46 and something.
Gone.
You want that one?
Yeah. Okay. Because there was new prophecy. A new prophecy had to be spoken about. Mm-hmm. And that was namely the MOTB, which would signify that the latter end.
Right.
We had to understand that, but the old prophets didn't understand it. They spoke about the destruction. They spoke about Yahushua returning back, coming back, but they didn't get that vision like the Lord gave John, the revelator, that vision.
Yeah, because it wasn't time, and that's why it was done in different symbols, symbology that was only revealed to the men of the Lord, the prophets, because it says, surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealed his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. Because once you saw the prophets come out, then you knew that there was problems. There was going to be problems for either Israel, there was going to be problems for a particular empire that was in power at the time, or both. This is Isaiah 42:9. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare.
Yeah, like the MOTB is a new thing, and we're able to understand what that is now. The prophets of old, they weren't able to understand the things that are actually happening now, because it wasn't revealed unto them fully, and that's why they use different similitudes and different wording conventions, the language of their times to explain what we're actually experiencing now.
That's right.
And it will only take them to come back in their lot to be able to get the understanding of what they saw back then. Right.
And it would only make sense that the Lord would reveal the mysteries to the men that actually wrote it in the past. So it says, before they spring forth, I tell you of them.
And this is why the Lord set up John, because no other prophet got that vision that we know of. No other prophet got that vision of
the MOTB.
Of the MOTB. And that was a major vision.
Right.
That was a major vision. He saw World War I, he saw World War II, he saw Yahushua coming back. A lot of these prophets did see that. They saw the end. Ultimately, they saw the nuclear fire. But John, he got a little bit. It was a little bit more deeper. Okay.
Right.
And it gave us a play-by-play what would happen in the last days and what the Edomite would do.
Right. And then you notice like Isaiah, right, and other prophets, Job and others, spoke about the Jeremiah, Ezekiel. They spoke about the destruction, the missiles dropping, the earth quaking and shaking, and the destruction of the world. But they didn't really receive the vision of the MOTB, because that would be way in the future, and that's why it took, about 700 some odd years, 600 some odd years, depending on the calculation, from the time when Job and Isaiah and these different other prophets were around to give that particular revelation. Because that would be the revelation of the MOTB would be towards the waning years or the end of the ancient Roman Empire. And then eventually when that Roman Empire will come back into place, then you would have the MOTB, which is the microchip, that would be eventually implemented after they took root in the planet and after they deceived the world with their religion, with their images and the image of Caesar Borgia, not the image of the beast, because Caesar Borgia is not the image of the beast. The image of the beast is the old Roman way, but the point is that it took time for all these things to build up. So this is the time right now where you have the MOTB, which is the microchip, playing out big on the planet. So I have something, because we spoke about that that the mysteries were not given to just one man, right? So Isaiah 34:16 says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, which is the scriptures. It says, no one of these shall fail, meaning the prophecies. It says, none shall want her mate. You can't make the book with any other book out there. It says, for my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. Right? It says, and he, I'm gonna have to call back. It says, and he, this is the main point, verse 17, and he hath cast the lot for them, meaning for the prophets, right? And his hand hath delivered it unto them by line, because each prophet received a certain portion of the Spirit. This is why you have, Isaiah, right? And then you had Jeremiah that had bigger portions, Ezekiel, but then you had Obadiah, Zephaniah, Haggai, that got smaller portions. Jonah. But nevertheless, the portions that each one of them got was very important, So the Lord gave it to each one by line. So that doesn't mean because the Lord gave Isaiah more of a book, more books to write, and more mysteries that he revealed to him, that that made Obadiah less important than him. You see, because they both got pieces and portions of the Spirit, even though some got more than others. Generation to generation, are they to prophesy or to break down the mysteries that were revealed to them in the lifetime? And I got to know where you're gonna go.
Oh, this is going to reveal.
I got to know where you're gonna go.
Oh, this is going to reveal the mysteries to us.
Bring it out.
Yeah.
And I got this one here. But get that. Daniel 12 is a prophet. Daniel, he got some heavy revelations. They were receiving those same mysteries that was given to him.
Because they all.
And let me read that again. Let the prophet speak 2 or 3, and let the other judge. If anything be revealed to another that sitteth by, let the first hold peace.
That's it. Let the first hold his peace. So it's just showing you that the Lord he reveals particular things to other different prophets,
right,
all at the same time, and you can't say nothing. The Lord said, "Hey, hold your." This he has to come in and add to that.
Yep.
It wasn't just given to one man. Okay, the Lord he has multiple prophets.
Yep.
Okay, namely 144,000, 12,000 out of each tribe.
Yep.
That's a the Lord divided that portion unto these different men.
Yeah.
Some men have other, bigger portion than other. Nevertheless, the Lord sees it fit for the divide the spirit to make it perfect.
There you go.
For the perfecting of the saints.
There you go.
Okay.
Beautiful. It says, "For you may all prophesy one by one."
Yeah, one by one. Just like the different prophets, they prophesy one by one. You have Jeremiah, you have Haggai, you have Habakkuk. Okay, you have Obadiah, you have Jonah, you have Peter, you have Paul, you have James. All these prophets, and then there was prophets that we don't have their books as well.
Right.
And the Lord gave them portions as well that are important. Okay.
It says that all may learn and all may be comforted.
That's it. Well, not all prophets were put in like, for example, you got different camps. Why does the Lord have different camps? Why he just didn't set up one man to speak? Because it would be impossible for the word to go out.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Lord he set up multiple men to speak the word and to give a portion of the prophecy to you. You might have to go to another prophet to hear something else that will add to the prophecy, that will add to the whole understanding, the full comprehensive understanding of the scriptures. Certain brothers are more exhortation. Certain brothers go more into prophecy.
Yep.
Other brothers go more into history.
Cursing out.
Other going into cursing out. Exhorting. But it's all beneficial for your understanding, so you can build up your faith.
Right, because it all depends on the lot that the Lord gave that has a whole lot
To the Lord.
That's it.
If he has this one prophet, or you gonna curse people out.
Right.
That's what you're gonna do.
And they're all supposed to agree together in one.
That's it.
Not the criteria for unity is not because we're Israelites. The criteria for unity is subject. You're not getting thought of Hawaiian in this time. You're going to be doing what you did back then, because that was the lot that was given to you. Remember what the Lord said to Jeremiah? He said, "Before you formed thee, I knew thee." Before you were formed in the belly, the Lord knew the prophets, going way back to the beginning, before man was even placed on the earth.
Before I formed in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
Right, and we're supposed to speak to the nations, not for edification, but to tell them what their future is. And their future is they're going into slavery, and that's the bottom line. If you give them any other
false prophet,
before you tell them that they're here in the soil of America, they're going to be destroyed, and when they come back,
they all had a particular message to tell you. And they spoke the message in different ways, and different things were revealed unto them. Just like you have many of the books of the Bible were prophets, and they all had something. It was all similar, but they all had something that was unique about a particular prophet. The unique message that the Most High gave them to speak.
Right.
And it all comes together for our understanding now in the last days.
Yep.
Okay.
I got Revelation 10 and 11. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So that was a lot that was given to John the Revelator, which was the Apostle John. And there's no record, because by this point, he had to be well into his 90s. So there's no record of him ever going out and prophesying to many kings and nations and tongues and peoples. There's no record of that. Because that was like a, when you were a sedition, someone that was called sedition, you were banned to these islands, because you were a threat to the Roman Empire. So they didn't want you around. Getting off the island, and then there's no record of him prophesying before all these different nations and peoples and tongues. So this would be fulfilled when? In these times now. And that's why he would receive the understanding of the revelations that were given to him back then. And he would be able to break them down today. So it wasn't given to one man. That's why, speak about the MOTB, or being a microsphere, or in I know of, I never heard any cassette with him speaking about that. Was something that was prevalent at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about the 60s, 70s, well, actually in the 60s, in the 70s, there was really not too much technology out there to where, the full brunt of cashless society was prevalent. Even though you did have, people that would speak about cashless societies but it was very, very small circles back then.
Well, if you consider it, Yahushua didn't speak about the MOT when he was on the earth.
Right.
He gave that after he came up to heaven and delivered to the angel and broke the seals.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for Yahushua to break the MOTB down to his disciples at a particular time.
Right.
He came.
He said, I have many things to say unto you, but you are not able to bear them.
That's it. See, so there was a lot more that they had to receive that we are able to receive now.
Yeah.
Because the seal, like you said, the seal has been broken.
Yeah.
And now we understand. But Yahushua, wasn't going around talking about the MOT.
Right. Because it would have made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because your main focus right now is teach the word, spread the gospel, and remember, when you see Jerusalem pass with armies, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. That was the main thing back then. That was a major event that was going to take place in prophecy. The abomination of desolation coming into Jerusalem and destroying the temple,
Mm-hmm.
and destroying the Israelites back then. That was a major prophecy at the time. Just like today, a major prophecy is Jacob's trouble, the MOTB being the microsphere, and World War III,
Mm-hmm.
which we see all of that brewing.
Mm-hmm.
You see that pot of coffee percolating.
That's it. Yep.
It's bubbling over.
Mm-hmm. And Paul received many revelations.
Yep.
But he didn't receive the revelation of the MOTB.
No, sir.
So it's really you're unlearned if you say that, because Abba Bivens wasn't talking about the MOTB. That doesn't make any sense, because different prophets had different messages.
Right.
Everything wasn't revealed unto one man.
That's it.
That's why the Lord has many other prophets.
Yeah, and the only one that spoke about the MOTB was, the Apostle John.
That's it.
Nobody else spoke about that. Why? Because it wasn't, the main focus back then was the destruction of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
The fulfillment of the abomination that maketh desolate.
That's it.
Which were the Roman armies.
Mm-hmm.
That was a major prophecy back then.
Yeah, and then and also John spoke about the beast, mm-hmm. and how the beast, his deadly wound was healed.
That's it.
And Paul spoke slightly about, you couldn't really get to understand it without revelation, because Paul spoke about, in 2 Thessalonians, that man of sin being revealed.
Yep.
But he didn't go into detail about that. He didn't go into the detail about the Edomites, about the beast system, about how they were what they were going to do on the earth. He didn't speak about the mark. He didn't speak about the Karax, the actual the thing to inject you with, the engrapho, You know, he didn't speak the data that they're going to. He didn't speak about. That wasn't given to him.
That's right.
All right. So it shows you that the Lord, he gives particular prophets different things to speak.
Right.
But it all works to the perfecting of the saints.
Right. And then once the Lord used John the Baptist to fulfill his lot, that was it. That's why he even said, is he the one, or do we look for another? Because he paved the way, and that was it. And he even prophesied that I must decrease and he must increase.
That's it.
So for these guys in the ISUPK to say that John the Baptist fell out the truth, they're bugged out for saying some stupid shit like that. Now, I got something. This is just fucking ridiculous. You know how these guys just, they're loose with their lips. You know what they say about loose lips? Loose lips sink ships. And the looser the lips, the quicker the ship sinks.
Hey, but you know what's beautiful about it, when you look at it spiritually, it gives us more ammo.
Yeah.
It gives us something to talk about.
Yep.
And warn,
Lessons.
Lessons, inspiration, things to have us go back and remember those scriptures. Why are those scriptures written?
Right.
Because it's not like we just saying things because out of our mouth. We're actually going back into the scriptures, telling you, no, that's false, that's incorrect, and showing you that, hey, look, this is how it is.
Right.
You know.
Yep. So this is 1 Corinthians 13:9. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. And this is why, matter of fact, let me read the 12th verse. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. So as time progresses and as the prophecies are being fulfilled more and more, the glass is being white clearer and clearer. So when Eldar Babivas was on the scene, the whole infrastructure of this digital system, you know, for the digital money was not established.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't even being worked on. You know, the technology itself was still in its infancy stage. That didn't come till later. You know, and it wasn't really until like the 90s and into really the 2000s that really that thing started becoming more and more prevalent.
Yep. Clear.
It started becoming more and more clear. Why? Because the time was here. It is set for an appointed time. But at the end it shall speak.
Yep, and not lie.
And not lie. Because the Lord said it was going to happen, and God damn it, we're in the time when it's happening.
I got a preset real quick.
Yeah,
this is Hebrews 1:1, and this is in the BBE. It says, in times past, the word of the Most High came to our fathers through the prophets.
Beautiful.
In different parts.
Right.
And in different ways.
Right, because it wasn't all given to one man. This is why you have prophets.
That's it.
Not prophet. There were many prophets. Why? Because the Lord revealed different things to different ones in different times. Some more than others, but they all work together in conjunction, because you had some prophets that were contemporary with each other in certain captivities. You know? You got it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like all the disciples, all the apostles, they were all contemporaries.
Yep.
But they weren't all given the same measure.
Right.
You know, and when you read their books, certain of the apostles don't even have a book.
Right.
You know,
the Apostle Peter didn't write. The Apostle Peter didn't write one of the Gospels. He just wrote a couple of letters.
That's it.
The Apostle John wrote a letter. He wrote a bunch of epistles, and he got the book of Revelation.
That's it. That was the portion that the Most High gave him.
But Peter was still over him.
There you go. You know.
And if you know the dynamic between, you know, King Masha and High Priest Ariah, right? King Masha didn't receive all those different revelations, but he was a spiritual man. He was the head.
He's still the king.
Yep. You know, and he would go into certain breakdowns, but the major portion of the mysteries was given to High Priest Ariah, even though King Masha was the head.
And see, and this is how the Lord, he confounds.
And is the head.
Yeah, he confounds men because he does not work off men's logic.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? You can't put the Most High in a box. He do whatever the hell he want to do. He'll give it to a child.
Yep.
Like he did Jeremiah.
Woo.
You know, he'll give the word to a child, and there's nothing you can confound men of age.
Yeah.
You know, and give him a big portion, and there's nothing that you can do about it. You know.
Well, Yahushua was 12 years old.
Yeah.
He was confounding lawyers and individuals that was masters in the law.
Doctors in the law, you know.
Yeah, and he was confounding them. And what can they say? They couldn't resist that spirit. And he gave a portion of that spirit, because he got the full portion.
Yep.
And he gave that portion to his men, piece, a little here, a little there.
He divided it.
Right. And they all didn't get the same amount of the same portion, but they all got pieces and bits of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
certain men can handle a bigger portion.
Yeah.
It talks about the talents.
That's it.
Certain men were given the talents, different portions of the talent,
Yep.
A different measure.
100-fold, 60-fold, 30-fold.
30-fold, that's it. And that's just what it is.
It is what it is.
But they were all, but the Lord used them all.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying?
So just because Elder Albert Bivens didn't speak about the MOTB being the micro CHIP and the technological age and the digital age, doesn't mean that it's not true. It just wasn't given to him at that time because it wasn't time for that prophecy to be fulfilled. Bottom line.
That's it. I mean, it's plain.
Yeah. So you got anything? So with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time we say, Shalom. Shalom.